All right. If today's notes seem a little bit odd on this one, it's because the logos weren't actually in place when a lot of these goals were scored due to the live stream that was going on. And it was a very entertaining game, one from a guy who doesn't have a dog in this fight. I really don't. I would be perfectly happy with either of these teams being in the Stanley Cup final because neither team has ever won a Stanley Cup. I understand there's a lot of people who are kind of upset with San Jose and with some of the officiating tonight, but honestly, some of the play by St. Louis players, the discipline, and I know, I don't want to get into it. I know people are already all ticked off. Don't worry, it'll go the other way too. I think, to me, it's weird. Both teams were coming off of a Game 7, and it felt to me like San Jose was the rested team in this game. If anybody else felt that way too, let me know what you guys think. But until late in the game, it felt like San Jose was a rested team. I've got on the board here tentative start. Not a lot of shots either way to begin the game. And then Couture scores from Nyquist and Meyer. Logan Couture. And what's funny is I just heard Nick Kypreos say he's starting to be known as a playoff guy or becoming known as a playoff guy. Really? He's been a playoff guy for years. Many years. Logan Couture is a battler who will leave his blood, sweat, tears, and teeth on the ice and keep playing. And really, honestly, he's a huge difference maker in this game. He and Timo Meier had a fantastic game. The shots were 3-1 for San Jose at 6 minutes in. And I thought St. Louis looked kind of slow to start the game. Schwartz then scored from Tarasenko and Schenn. And I put up here, goal scored against the flow of the play. And it felt like this was something that happened a couple of times during the game. So while we can look at this, we can look at the score, we can look at the result and go, oh, San Jose is going to steamroll them. I definitely think if you're the Blues, there are certain things you can take out of tonight's game and say, all right, we're okay. However, the Sharks get a two-man advantage in the first period, and when you get a long two-man advantage, it's really hard for the defending team to kill that off, especially when you got Pavelski on the ice, and Pavelski gets that power play goal from Burns and Karlsson. So that makes it a 2-1 game for San Jose, and then I put that the Blues were reeling, and this is all in the first half of the period. And then the Blues have a close call, and really from there, the play in the period was pretty even. So when the shots are 10-9 St. Louis at the end of the first, really St. Louis evened out the play, but that two-man advantage really hurt them. Now, in the second period, there's a Blues penalty at 2:57. So the Blues are shorthanded again, but then the best chance out of that power play was actually for Ryan O'Reilly shorthanded, and it goes off the side of the net. If that had gone in, that would have changed the whole nature of the game altogether. But not long after that, LeBanc scores. His goal assisted by Joe Thornton, so Joe with another point in these playoffs. And for LeBanc, he's back on the board. He's been a hot and cold goal scorer, point scorer. And if he starts heating up again, that's just more Sharks to worry about. And then I put Blues close to 3-2. They just couldn't get it. And then I even said this during the live stream, as I'm writing this on the board, Ryan O'Reilly scores from Perron and Blais, and there you go. So 3-2 game, and the shots were 15 each at halfway through the second period. And again, that seemed to me like it was indicative of how close this game was until a nice little poke check by Logan Couture. I initially thought it was Meyer who did the whole thing all by himself. But Couture with a little touch on the puck. Meyer then takes it in, an absolutely beautiful goal on Binnington. Then this makes it 4-2, and this is a good time for me to explain. Jordan Binnington had a good game, but San Jose's shots were just deadly. St. Louis defensively, they were allowing the shots to the San Jose Sharks. They were not allowing against Dallas. Of course, Dallas is not offensively the team that the San Jose Sharks are. And then I thought the Sharks were sloppy in front of their own net. So again, you come out of tonight's game, and it's a big win for San Jose, but there are little things that St. Louis can look at coming out of this game and say, you know what? If we can stay out of the box, and if we can take advantage of these little things, we're good. So some sloppy passing in front of their own net by the Sharks. They've got away with that in the first two rounds. They got away with it against Vegas eventually. They got away with it against Colorado eventually, and they're doing it again against St. Louis. And then the Sharks got a penalty with 6:37 to go in that period, but no goal scored, no damage done by the St. Louis Blues in that one. And that's basically the end of the power play fun. From there, the whistles are put away until very late in the game, when things just kind of get out of control and the referees are kind of trying to keep everything under wraps. Meyer then gets his second of the game from Vlasic and Nyquist, and that really felt like it ended it. So the score's 5-2 at this point, and I wrote up every Sharks chance seemed to be going in. Like every great chance for the Sharks was truly a great chance, and it was ending up in the back of the Blues net. The Blues weren't getting that same level of shot, so the shots are 11-9 for San Jose. Through 2 periods, the shots are 20-19 in favor of the Sharks. So it's close, but it felt like when the Sharks got that opportunity, it was in close, it was in tight, it was a solid chance, and I know people will point out the 2-man advantage that led to that one goal, but it's 5-2 at this point. Third period, the shots were 21-21 with at the 5-minute mark of the third period, meaning the shots were close, but the score is still 5-2 for the Sharks. The Sharks looked like they were cruising, and at that point I had to write on the board, are these the same Blues? So St. Louis looked kind of tired at this point in the game, and for San Jose, they were really on cruise control, which can lead to some sloppy play. Can lead to maybe it goes to your head a little bit, and maybe you allow chances that you otherwise wouldn't if the game was closer. There was a blatant high stick by Brendan Dillon on David Perron that wasn't called. I don't know if the officials didn't see it or what it was, and I know for Blues fans that's the one they'll talk about as a key moment. There was some chippy play back and forth by both. I find it is entertaining on some level watching is from series to series. We have every fan base complains about players on the other team, and then when we go into the next round, it's like the players that people complain about sometimes change. So this guy's dirty, says one fan base, and then the next round, no, this fan base says that guy's dirty. So that kind of thing goes on. The Blues had 2 shots in the first 12 minutes. And this is really where the problem comes in. For St. Louis to really realistically have a chance to come back and win a game when they're down 5-2, they had to come out and blitz San Jose, and it didn't happen until Bozak scores from Maroon. So Bozak gets on the board, and once that goal went in, it completely shifted the momentum of the game. From there on, St. Louis buzzing the net like crazy. So I put the goal woke up the Blues, and I thought Martin Jones was allowing a lot of rebounds. Even on that 5-3 goal, I thought he had a chance to maybe cover up the puck earlier, and he didn't seem to want to do that. So, again, it's one of those things that if you're Craig Berube in between games, you can sit your guys down and go, hey, if we want to beat the guy, this is what we have to do. And on top of course, the other things they can't allow to happen at the other end. The goalie's pulled with 4 minutes and 39 seconds left. Now, in this situation, down by 2 goals, I totally understand. And honestly, tremendous pressure put on by St. Louis at that point. A lot of shots. And Jones played well. But again, kicking out a lot of rebounds. And, good defensive play by San Jose to get those away, which wasn't happening at the other end with St. Louis for Binnington. The Sharks then iced it with 2 minutes and 58 seconds left. And they were tired. They were the same players that have been on the ice basically the whole time since the goalie got pulled with 4:39 left. Now, in their favor, St. Louis, not great on the face-off circle. And then with 2:40 left in the third period, Martin Jones is able to freeze the puck, catches it, and holds onto it. That allows the ice change, or line change. If those guys are kept on the ice for much longer, that puck's in the net. We have a 1-goal game, and all heck breaks loose at that point. However, coming off of that face-off, San Jose gets their main guys on the ice. They're big names. Couture ends up getting an empty net goal. Pavelski and Kane get the assists on that, so Pavelski has a good game. Couture gets a couple of goals tonight, and San Jose makes it 6-3. So the score at the end makes it look like San Jose took them to the woodshed, but realistically, the Blues had their chances. It just felt like they were tired, and they were. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's physical, but it just felt like they weren't the same Blues. They have time to get things together between Game 1 and Game 2. We'll see what happens. And then there was a fight shortly thereafter where Bortuzzo pairs off with Goudreau, but It was more Bortuzzo throws the gloves off and starts trying to wail on him. Bortuzzo's not a guy that I would ever want angry with me. He's a big, tough player. Also worthy of note was Parayko had a wicked shot that hit Braden Shen and looked like it hurt Braden Shen in the third period. So Parayko's shots, stay out of the way of those shots. Just just get out of the way and let him go through. I wouldn't even want to screen those shots. That's one of those. Go ahead. That's yours. I'm not screening that. I'm not dying for you. So yeah, Bortuzzo paired off, and it felt like St. Louis was just letting them know. Sundqvist threw a late hit as well on that same play, and it just felt like St. Louis was sort of sending a message for Game 2 that this game's going to get a lot more physical and a lot more difficult. And really, honestly, if they'd played the whole way in this game the way they did after the Bozak goal, St. Louis might have won it. Now, of course, this is the coulda, woulda, shoulda part of the show, right? Really, a great win for San Jose. They end up winning it 6-3. We'll see how Game 2 turns out for St. Louis. It really is a must-win for St. Louis. Their road game has really brought them to this point. If the road game starts to fall apart, we already know they struggle at home. If you give San Jose that level of confidence where they know they're 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup final, I don't know that St. Louis can come back from that. But again, we're early. It's one game. And definitely St. Louis is capable of coming back. They showed it against the Dallas Stars. They were down 3-2. They won the next 2. They lost 2 in a row, games 3 and 4 against the Winnipeg Jets. That series was tied, and they managed to win the next 2 games. So it is on them at this stage to come out in Game 2 and show a whole 60 minutes of what they can do. Binnington saves 19 out of 24. I know, those are ugly numbers. I don't throw any blame on him at all. I thought the defense in front of him, those goals were just deadly. And there was one that was a deflection as well. I believe it was the second Timo Meier goal that was just a deflection. So you can't really look at those goals and say, oh, well, Binnington should have had that. He should have known his own defenseman was going to kick it in. I believe it went off done. And Jones with 28 saves on 31 shots. St. Louis did end up out shooting San Jose in that third period 12-5. Like I said, they did show up, they did wake up, but at that point it was 5-2. Even at 5-3, you didn't really get the feeling that San Jose was going to end up losing this game. But it'll be interesting to see if they can build any momentum off things they learned from tonight and use it in Game 2, or if San Jose is just going to keep wave after wave after wave of attack, and if San Jose's goal scoring is just going to be too much in the end for the St. Louis Blues. So very, very interesting game. I think we're still in for a long series between these two teams, but that remains to be seen. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, just tapping upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.